Hello everyone, and welcome back to the next installment of my Diversity in Writing series. In this video series, I highlight a specific author for each video and discuss their contribution to the literary world. Today's video features renounced author Virginia Woolf. So I first want to start out by giving you an overview of Virginia Woolf and her work. She is an English writer who produced most of her pieces during the 20th century. She is a key author who greatly contributed to the growing popularity of modernist literature, so literature in which the author does not adhere to the traditional standards for writing prose and or poetry. I personally like that she takes this new and exciting turn in her writing because she's paving the way for other writers, especially women writers, to not be afraid to embrace new and exciting turns in their writing, despite the inevitable criticism that might occur because they're going away from the norm. Many people in the earlier 20th century were just starting to see modernist literature in everyday readings, and many readers and critics are reluctant to embrace this style of writing as a new normal. So struggling to find a publisher to publish Woolf's work may have been what led her to start her own publishing company called the Hogarth Press. But either way, I'm glad she was able to find a successful way to publish her work so readers today and tomorrow can continue to experience her pieces. One aspect of Woolf's pieces that's very unique to her is narration. In her writing, she intertwines the narrator's voice with the voice of her characters, instead of making a clear divide between what the narrator is saying and what the character is saying. She's ultimately enabling the reader to dive deeper into the mind and world of the character and to experience what the character is going through with a narrative voice guiding the whole story. This may seem like a confusing way to craft a story, and it certainly wasn't something seen too often prior to the modernist era, but Woolf uses punctuation to help distinguish between the narrator's voice and the character's voice, so that the reader truly understands what's going on in the text. The next point I want to highlight about Woolf is her gender exploration and feminist writing. It is important to recognize that Woolf's writing reflected her feminine stance because oftentimes in writing, female characters prior to the early 20th century didn't always receive the same level of depth and development as male characters. What's more, individuals prior to the early 20th century and even today, to be honest, have taken a very conservative approach to gender and gender roles. Sexual orientation and exploration is a topic Woolf embraces in one of her most popular works titled Orlando, which Woolf wrote after she began a relationship with another woman despite being married to her husband. So in the novel Orlando, an Englishman named Orlando falls asleep and awakes to find that he is now in the body of a woman, despite still remaining himself on the inside. The character struggles with gender identity and acceptance as is seen through the novel as Orlando takes a nonchalant approach to his identity, while the narrator on the other hand is deeply unsettled. It's thought that Woolf's own sexual orientation may have inspired this piece. I'm glad that she was courageous enough to challenge the conservative thinking of that era and introduce ideas that may have been considered taboo at the time. In doing this, she's really paving the way for authors of all genders to share their story and for readers to find a character that they can personally relate to, or to find a character who challenges their current perspective on gender. A discussion about Virginia Woolf wouldn't be complete without highlighting her incorporation of intermonologue and stream of consciousness into her writings. I really like when authors use stream of consciousness because it allows readers to become more immersed into the character's world and ultimately live vicariously through that character. So the whole concept of stream of consciousness is that a character's thoughts and feelings are presented in an uninterrupted flow by way of descriptions, actions, and dialogue. Woolf explores this literary feature heavily in her writing and uses it to present a character's psychological and emotional state in depth to the reader. Also, the vivid and lyrical imagery Woolf uses when describing the experiences of the characters contributes to the overall experience of reading her pieces, and it helps her prose incorporate a lot of the sensory experiences oftentimes seen in poetry. Well, that concludes today's video. I know many people have heard of Virginia Woolf, and if you already did, then hopefully you learned something new about her in today's video. Thanks for watching, and I hope that as readers you'll continue to explore diversity in writing and literature.